Mohamed Salah is staying at Liverpool Football Club. We love it. We love it. Not bad news, probably not great news because Salah's not in great form at the moment, so people probably won't perceive it to be great news, which means that they're going to be saying, well, actually he needs to go because of the line that he crossed with Jurgen Klopp, and he's crap, so we're just going to let go of him now. Yeah, that's what people will be saying. And I've looked at Instagram comments and I've saw that exact same response to the Salah news, that he's likely to stay, that it's likely that the final year will be seen through. No talks of a contract extension, at least as of yet. But apparently it will be something that we see Mohamed Salah in the Liverpool kit for another 12 months, which I think would be good for Salah and good for the club. You know, people know my stance on Mohamed Salah. I made a tweet the other day saying I'd probably sell him. Now, I never said that based on the incident the other day. Nah, it's just, my reflection is, you know, at some point I do want to see Liverpool go from a developing team to a team that eventually goes and wins. Mohamed Salah has gone away and hid away a couple of times when it gets to the dire end of the season. Now, Mohamed Salah has also scored 50 plus or 60 plus goal contributions against top six sides. He's also scored in fairly decent sized games, and he's scored so consistently. Well, how do you come to the place where you sell Mohamed Salah? I do know that we're going through a transition with a new manager, and all these different things are going to be changing. The backroom staff's going to change, and my mindset on selling Salah was, because what I hate is when football fans say to me, well, James, you're not the owner, you're not the financial advisor, why do you care about the money? We're all discussing, we're all raging about an ownership spending or not spending money, and we're then making opinions based on what would we do if we was in their shoes. So anytime I come up with opinion, of course, I've got to take that with a financial degree and mindset. I'm not just going to say, go and buy Mane back for 100 million. Maybe if we got Mane offered for free and he wanted to take a, significantly less pay cut, and he was just like, I'm just here for old time's sake to save the boys, then why not? You know what I mean? Because it's financially beneficial. It'd be a great option to have in the squad. Even if he is finished, it isn't a big, costly acquisition. Mohamed Salah, 12 months left on his deal. No talks of a contract extension. 32 years old, but is one of the best players in the league. Hasn't been performing that way, but based on numbers, still being pretty much just as consistent as other years, if not just slightly below. And he's still our best attacker. Let's get that very clear. He's still our best attacker based on output. Based on output alone, he's the best. Jota's got availability issues. Diaz has end product issues. Núñez has every issue besides the athleticism. So Salah is the one who's the creator. He's someone who's vital. But I've just gave you 3 other factors that say to me, well, if you're just going to say it's a full-blown conclusion that any fan who says I would sell him for 100 to 150 million in the summer are stupid or ridiculous or crazy, they're not. There's some owners right now that would sell Salah. There's some owners that wouldn't. Some owners would think we need to move on. Some owners wouldn't think the same. It's like, I'm sure Barcelona look back at Lionel Messi and kick themselves a little bit. They think he would have really helped us. But then there was an element where they needed to move on. Very different circumstance. A better example I'll give you, Steven Gerrard. When Steven Gerrard retired, that was down to Brendan Rodgers, why Steven Gerrard left the football club, because Brendan Rodgers said that you're probably not going to be as involved going into next season. Steven Gerrard then says, well, that's not what I want to hear. Basically, he leaves the club and never got to experience the whole or any of the Jurgen Klopp era. And you know what? This is what I will say about Steven Gerrard, is that he was still one of the better midfielders in the Premier League when he retired. He weren't at his best no more. He definitely had more deficiencies, and, the physical part of his game started to decrease, but he was still a top midfielder. He was still our best midfielder. Coutinho hadn't quite got into his stride while Gerrard was still at the club. He was getting into the stride, but Coutinho really came world class when Gerrard left. The point was, Gerrard was still a very valuable player to the Liverpool squad. So the same way Salah is our best attacker, it's the same way Gerrard was our best midfielder before leaving. Now, the club made a decision, let go of Gerrard, and the club went like this. Now, that's not just primarily to Gerrard leaving, But Gerrard leaving was a sign we're now overgoing a big transition. Brendan Rodgers then gets let go in October. Jurgen Klopp then gets brought in. And that sort of free change gave Jurgen Klopp free license to build his team exactly how he wanted it. So there weren't no politics around, do we play Gerrard, do we not? It's not a big conversation around the football club. Mohamed Salah's just getting to that age where, listen, 150 million is very enticing, but if I found out that the situation was that 150 million would be so minuscule because our finances are so huge, then yeah, it might be worth keeping him because of his numbers. So here's my solution with this breaking news. I'm not sad that Salah's staying, even though I was leaning towards wanting to sell him, not going to lie, and I know people will say, James, you're ridiculous for saying that, but I've just tried to relay some of the reasons why that's a pretty okay statement. I'm not just trying to be an air balloon, and I'm not just trying to say controversial opinions, even though me simply just coming onto the camera with this trim is controversial in itself, and I definitely do say things or maybe deliver my points in a way that isn't the best. But what I will say is that I think people who do want to sell Salah have a leg to stand on. People who want to keep him have a leg to stand on. Really, it's 50-50 either way. 51-49 at most. If he stays, we've got someone who can score consistent numbers. The concerns rise when you sit there and you say, well, what about that player who's going to turn up in the final part of the season, which Salah has maybe struggled to do at times? And then you've got to go and find some... And then what I would say, if he does stay, go and find somebody who can replace Mohamed Salah if he's underperforming or if he's dropped off or if he's tired and these type of things. We can't be constantly relying on a 33-year-old in the dire end of a season or a 32-year-old, whatever he'll be. We need someone who has that little bit more of a killing edge, someone with that element of something to prove, and I just think we've left that way too long in the right-wing position. With no competition with these things, it's going to frustrate Salah. And Salah and here's one more thing that I probably am a little bit more different when it comes to Mohamed Salah. Mohamed Salah is more entitled to play. We're getting a new coach. We're having a new philosophy, a new system. I would like the coach to not be so stuck in, well, I've got to play Mohamed Salah because he's Mohamed Salah. I'd like him to have the options. Do I play Mohamed Salah or Jeremy Frimpong? Like, just the name that came to mind. Point is, whoever you go and get as the backup midfielder or right winger, or however you want to play Salah, you know, make sure they're there for when that drop-off does inevitably come. Because Salah does have them. He just does. He has those drop-offs. We've got to accept that it happens. But we're keeping a world-class player. So this is not bad news. And I know people will try and paint it out to be. You know, another concern could maybe be the fact we're keeping a player on such high wages. And how much room does that give us to go and bring in new players? Because if I'm me and you, I'm pretty sure we can both say, bring in a new attacker who can compete for the first team. Bring in a new defender who's going to walk right into the first team with Matip going. Konate's been quite underwhelming, so someone to compete with Konate. And so on and so forth. And that's what it's about. I mean, maybe even a defensive midfielder, if you're not fully sold on the idea of Endo without Klopp, you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things where I want Arne Slot to have his team. I don't believe it ever really works when a man inherits another man's squad and does well with them. You know, I mean, you do get the short-term examples like Thomas Tuchel and you know, he took over Frank Lampard's squad, won the Champions League. Get that. But that was still like a new team, fresh mindset, you know. That new team hadn't quite worked with a top-class manager, but I'm talking for the long term of things. I don't want Arne Slot's progression of his project to be held back by anybody, is the point. But I don't think Salah will do that. I think Salah will continue to be a goal machine in goals and assists, right? That's a good thing. The only question is he going to be there for the biggest moments when he is our best attacker? And if he's not going to be there for those biggest moments, would it be worth going out and getting somebody who's going to be, or at least have that potential to get those goals and to get those assists, at least have that potential to get them in the big moments? These are all key factors. That's what I'd say. But let me know in the comments down below what you think of this news. I wouldn't say it's bad news at all. I'd say it's more good than bad, actually. Even though I was on the other side of the fence yesterday. But it weren't like clear, like, get rid of Mo Salah. I was just like, I'd probably sell him. 1 year left, 150 million. That's a lot of money. You're never going to get that again. Give you an opportunity for the new manager to expand his squad. You're removing someone's ridiculous wages off the wage bill. The downside is you lose a world-class player. You lose probably your best attacker. So there was pros, there was cons, but the conclusion is he's staying, and that's not that bad of a thing. It's like option A and option B were both fine. We can accept either one, and that's where I'm at. I'm at the point where I'm accepting that. And anyone who's using the other day after the game, and I was angry, I was pissed, I was fuming, and if we saw other displays of that attitude from Salah, I'd be fuming. Especially when we're in the worst form. People, mentioning Mane and Henderson, we weren't in the worst form then. But Henderson did get slapped because we was in bad form. Mane, not as much because we were in good form at the time. Know the times, know the fact that the media are going to get on your back if you make a big explosion. I think he's realised that. I think there's a reason why this news has come out immediately. The club are like, well, let's not get the fans turning on Salah, So it's good that this news has come out because it's going to probably limit the animosity towards Salah at the moment. The only way that it doesn't become more vicious or sort of uncomfortable with Salah is unless his form changes. If we announce this news, which we have, and then he does really bad, people are going to be calling for his neck in the summer. So we'll see. But I'm all right with it, just to let you know. It's not the worst news in the world, but I am also open to the idea of just changing this team with a new manager, with the new backroom staff. Try and not hold on to things for too long, basically. But Salah can still bring great value. This is fine news. And I'd like to know what you think of it in the comments. Guys, I'm going to go. My lips are dry and I haven't made myself a glass of water. So I've just been like granny no teeth all video. So it's great. It's boss. It's amazing. I'm getting more of a double chin as well, which we love to see. Out here looking like Mrs. Puff, That weren't funny. That wasn't as funny as I made it out to be. You know, to the way she had a little pimple chin though, like the little whoop. She was sound, Mrs. Puff. She was a bitch really, but she was probably sound. In a personal life, off the cameras, you know what I mean? Off the cameras. Guys, I'm going, alright. See you later.